morning and happy Thursday. So it is Thursday, June 12th, and when you listen to this, I will be preparing for the Beyonce concert. Queen Bee is in town, and my friend Charlie and I are going. I wanted to go because I have seen every Beyonce tour with the exception of Sasha Fierce, because I don't think Sasha Fierce made it to Toronto. I'm not sure, but everything that she's done from Toronto to now, I have seen. So the Mrs. Carter tour, when she went on tour with Jay-Z, Lemonade, Renaissance, and then obviously now Cowboy Carter. And tickets were just absolutely insane. If you've been keeping up with the Ticketmaster lore over the last few years, it's just been insane, like ticket prices. And 1000% artists have a huge part to blame in this. And Cowboy Carter was no different. The tickets were absolutely insane, even though they weren't sold out, which was so confusing. I got my Renaissance tickets for £87 a pop, and I had really good seats. I don't do standing area. Shout out to all of you loyal ride or dies that do standing area. I absolutely refuse. I need a seat. Even though I never sit, but I need a seat just in case. So Charlie was like, "Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go. Like, if it makes sense, we'll go." And I wasn't going to like sit online and sleuth for tickets, but thank God for good friends. She was online, she sleuthed, and we got some good tickets at a fair price. So we are going tonight, which I'm looking forward to. I have more than enough denim in my closet, so I will find something to wear. And hopefully my hat arrived in time. If it didn't, oh well, I'm going to be one of those people going hatless. But yes, Cowboy Carter tonight at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is a soccer stadium. I actually hate this stadium. One, because it's super far, and it's just a lot of like, ugh, when you go there. I much prefer the O2, but the O2 is much smaller. She does all of her London shows at Tottenham. And yeah, it's the perfect stage for her. I'm looking forward to it. So obviously, Cowboy Carter is a bit of a polarizing album. Either you love it or you don't really care for it. And I feel like in England, it's even harder to find people that really care for it because country music is just like not a thing here at all. And not to say it is in Canada, but it kind of is in Canada. So yeah, like here, I feel like most people don't really get it. And if they go, they're just really like Beyonce fans. But obviously, like Sweet Honey Buckin', I want to hear because it's so fun. Two Hands in Heaven, because that is the most romantic song of life. But I'm telling you guys, all I want to hear is track 15, Just for Fun. That is my song. Like, that is the best, empowering breakup, like dig deep in your soul song. And I'm going to tell you that I had not even heard the song before there was a TikTok. I'm deviating, but this is important and it's worth the little anecdote or a story or whatever. So I was watching a TikTok like, I don't know, a year ago or a year and a half ago, and it was of this girl living in New York. Long story short, basically was in a relationship and the relationship ended and she had like this major crash out. And she's like depressed. Like, guys, she's in the fields, like she's in the trenches. And she's listening to the song Just for Fun with Willie Jones and Beyonce. It's track 15 on Cowboy Carter. And the lyrics in the song are my favorite. Like the melody's really good and whatever, but I love the lyrics. And Willie Jones's voice is so smooth. Ooh, he sounds like whiskey neat. He sounds so good. The hook is like, "'Cause time heals everything. I don't need anything. Hallelujah, I pray to her." And one of the verses is like, "Here's to hoping I'll fall fast asleep tonight. And I just need to get through this. Born in the darkness, who brings the light? And I need to get through this or just get used to it. 'Cause time heals everything. I don't need anything. Hallelujah, I pray to her." Love, guys. So anyway, she's reciting the lyrics in the TikTok, and then in the midst of her post crash out phase, she goes to Cartier and buys herself a watch. She buys herself the same watch that I have, which is the Cartier Panthère two-tone. And she's like, "This watch is a reminder to me that like time heals everything." And honestly, I could cry like just saying it because I remember the video. I think about the lyrics. I look at my watch and it's like time heals everything. Like in your darkest, darkest, darkest black hole of depths, just know that like time heals everything. So I'm telling you guys, that is the song I want to hear. Charlie, if you're listening to this, be prepared for the tears because they're coming. Because it is just a beautiful, ethereal reminder that time heals everything. You don't need anything. Everything you have is in you, and you will always get through to the other side if you allow yourself to. I always say emotions are like waves. They come in, and if you give them enough time, they will go back out. And I will be remembering all of this tonight at the Cowboy Carter concert. I'm so excited. So, as you can tell from today's title, it is a new segment called Ask a Sage. I have had my anonymous link in the show notes for quite some time. And of course, you guys reach out to me via DM on the Sage Sorority and on my personal Instagram at Shantel Russo and ask me questions. And I've picked 3 that I think would be really good for a podcast episode. This will be an ongoing segment called Ask a Sage, aka Ask Me Anything. So be sure to always send me your question, guys. I would love to help you out with any of your dilemmas. You can, of course, DM me on Instagram at Shantel Russo, DM me on the show's account, which is at the Sage Sorority. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and of course, YouTube. And if you want to keep it a little bit more low-key and a little bit more sleuth, you can go into the show notes. I have an anonymous link where you can send in your question with no username, no handles, no nothing. Okay, so let's get into the questions. So, question 1, how do you deal with flaky and inconsistent friends, especially when you guys are not super tight or close? So, I thought that this was a great question because it's something that I have a lot of experience with because obviously, like, I've moved abroad, I've moved on my own, and I've built new friendships over the last 7 years, like, pretty regularly. And I think that it's really tricky, right? Flaky and inconsistent qualities in a friend or anyone in an interpersonal relationship is just not good, right? Even if you had a flaky or inconsistent coworker, like you wouldn't be happy. I think what makes things a little difficult is that when you're in early stages of a friendship, because you're still building a friendship, right? So if you are someone who meets someone, you get on and you guys get along and you kind of go from like 0 to 50 and then 50 to 75, like that's only going to work for someone who is on that kind of time. And a lot of people, especially in your 30s and 40s, are not on that kind of time. They're a lot more of a slow burn and you can't rush the process. And this is no different than if you were dating someone. Like you can't rush the process. And one of my friends always says you can't skip steps. And I agree with that. Early friendship is a bit of a delicate dance because maybe you've met someone, maybe you guys went for lunch or you were introduced by a mutual friend. You're like, oh, I really like her. Like, I would like to spend more time with her. That has to be built at a decent pace. You can't rush that pace. You know what I mean? So you're still figuring each other out. You're still figuring out the rhythm of your connection. Like, is this going to be more of a friend that you text? Is this going to be a friend that you actually meet up with? Are you guys only going to go for drinks and dinner? Or are you guys going to work out together or go to museums together or just sit and talk together, go for a long walk, whatever. And the truth is that when someone is flaky early on, you can't immediately label it as a red flag. I'm not saying disregard it, but it's not immediately a red flag. But obviously, you do have to pay attention because the beginning moments, like people are just not invested. It might not be because they're not invested in you personally. It's just that you don't know what someone else has gone through when it comes to being a friend and having new people in their lives. They could have their own trauma and their own bruises and their own wounds that they need to deal with. And I'm not excusing poor behavior. And I think that that quote that I love, that it's like, speak from the scar, not from the wound, is very important. You have to be clear, you have to be respectful because ultimately this is people's time, this is people's effort. But I think you also have to take it with a grain of salt just in the beginning. Not forever, just in the beginning. So flakiness also has range, right? Are you considering someone flaky because they don't text you back as quickly as you text them back? Like, that's not flakiness. And I will speak to that. Like, I love my friends and friendship is a big part of my life, but I'm very much someone who will like say what I need to say and then put my phone down. Or I want to have my phone on sleep mode for 3 days. Like, that's not flaky. If we've made a plan, we don't need to like talk about the plan or talk a lot leading up to the plan. That's not flaky. Sometimes people are super available and then sometimes people are not super available. And what I also want to talk about is that when you are meeting new friends, oftentimes, like, you might be outside of their orbit. So they might have a group of friends already, and it's likely that they do. And I am not talking down to anyone because this is something that I have experienced and I do experience. I only moved to London almost 7 years ago. I didn't grow up here. I didn't go to school here, and I don't have family here. So I am not necessarily part of someone's immediate orbit in that way. You know what I mean? Because I'm not from here and I don't have those placed networks here. So most of my friends, to be honest, are expats as well, especially my closer friends, because we're all kind of in the same boat. But if I was close friends with someone who didn't have that situation, it's probably going to be different. And then to add another layer on top of that, not everyone wants to mix their friends. That might work for you, that might not work for you. And I think you should be honest with yourself. Like, that's something that I've even said to some of my friends, like, why is it that like we're over here and then you're with your other friends like over here? Like, I personally think that's weird, because I also think like I don't want to meet up with 3 different people 3 different times a week and have 3 different dinners. Like, I don't always want to do that. Sometimes it's like, why can't we all just have dinner together? Or why can't we just all have a drink together? Or if it's something light, like, why can't we all do it together? So obviously, like, there's appropriate things for appropriate people, but I do think about that. I also want to say that you just have to give context and room to breathe. Like, is the person navigating burnout? Are they new to the city? Do they already have a very robust social life that is already kind of fit and planned? Especially when you're in your 30s, you likely don't have a ton of spare time either. And then if you have a partner, if you have children, that spare time gets whittled down depending on if you're dealing with someone who values friendships. Like, not everyone values friendships in the same degree. That's another thing. I know that for me, it ranks higher than maybe it does for other women. And you have to find people that feel the same way. And be careful for women who say it ranks higher, but really it's just filler space until they have a man and children. That is a very big thing. And I don't want to deviate, but that could be a podcast for another day, like I always say. Is her life chaotic? Is her life emotionally very full? Is she taking care of a sick parent? Is she ill herself? Like, you can't expect perfection from people, and you can't expect BFF status from people like right off the rip, because you also have to go inward and be like, where is that coming from? If you were super comfortable with your girl gang and this, that, and the third, how would you feel if someone doing that to you? Would you welcome it with open arms, or would you be like, she's doing too much? You don't expect perfection, but you should expect clarity. And if someone is inconsistent and vague, you can just assume that you're not a priority. But that doesn't mean you're not a friend, and that doesn't necessarily mean that person doesn't care, and that doesn't necessarily mean that person doesn't like you. You just have to move accordingly and receive what people are saying, even amongst the unsaid. So what's changed for me over time is that I no longer like turn potential into things. I would never chase a friend. I'm not convincing anybody. If it's too early to have like a clear conversation about it, then you guys don't have that kind of relationship. And maybe you'll have that kind of relationship, but you really just have to mirror their energy and keep it moving. Like, it's not with any type of malice. It's just really emotional boundaries for you. If that person isn't going to be the type of friend that you know that, one, you are, and two, you're looking for, you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to know who you are, what you give and what you receive. And you also have to be honest with yourself and be like, am I asking for more than the relationship warrants at this present moment? Are you trying to skip steps? The truth is that new friendships should not feel like work. Absolutely not. Just like a new relationship. It should be mutual. It should be curious. It should be fun. And you shouldn't have to justify people's like inappropriate behavior before you've even built anything solid. But at the same time, you can't skip steps. The only way you're going to know someone is through time. There's no way around that. You have to give new relationships the time that it needs to breathe and the time that you need to build. And not everyone wants to build the same way. Some people build quick and dirty. Some people are more of a slow burn. I'm definitely more of a slow burn. Like, that's just my personality. So just give it thought, and I hope this helps. A quick heads up that I'm opening up a few one-to-one coaching spots this summer. If you've been in your head about work, relationships, or what's next, and you just want to talk it out with someone who will actually listen and won't bombard you with a bunch of buzzwords, this might be for you. Honestly, summer is the perfect time to reset. Things slow down, inboxes get a lot more quiet, and that space can either spiral into overthinking or be the moment where you finally shift something in your life. You can book a one-off session with me or a monthly series. All the details are in the show notes. I look forward to talking. Bye. Question number 2. How do you deal with anxiety? And this question came through a while ago, and I kind of sat with it for a while because I my gut reaction was that I don't have anxiety. And then I was like, but is that true? Like, do we all suffer from it, to varying degrees? And of course, I went to the Googles because I like to actually define things and make sure that I even understand what's being said. So, first, let's define it. So, anxiety, psychologically speaking, is your body's like stress response, right? An activation of your sympathetic nervous system even when there's no immediate threat, right? That's the key thing. It's not always about thoughts. It often begins physiologically, like your heart rate increases, your breathing changes, your cortisol spikes, and your brain scrambles to make sense of it. So when people say just breathe or just journal, they're often skipping the parts where your body thinks you're in danger, and you can't just like outthink your body. You have to regulate it. So I was trying to think when I read that, I was like, okay, are there moments in my life where I feel dysregulated? And I'll be honest, not often. I think part of that is like biology. I think that some people's anxieties are definitely like inherited and like genetic. I think you can be predisposed to that. I'm not a doctor, but that's just like my general social assumption. And I don't think I have that. I think I've always been a pretty even keeled person in my body. I think I attribute a lot of that to the fact that I've never had any serious physical trauma and emotional trauma when I was growing up. I think that if you did, your likelihood of anxiety is much higher. This is totally me just off the top of my head. I'm not a doctor. And as much as I believe in talk therapy, I do think that there's certain things that require bigger help than like necessarily a therapist, a coach, or a mentor. And I think if you are someone who has a very physiological response to anxiety, that is something that you need to speak with someone who has that range. I fully, fully, fully believe that. And look into medication if that is the right path for you. The only time I can think of is like heart rate increasing, breathing changing, and my cortisol spiking is if I'm like really nervous, which I guess, depending on who you talk to, could be a form of anxiety, right? Like maybe there's no immediate threat, but you are feeling those physiological changes, like when some people like have to speak in public, stuff like that. And I'm going to give you like some tips that I saw online, but I'm going to say for me, when I am feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling really nervous and I can actually, it's not just a thought, but I can actually feel those things manifesting in my body, deep breaths really help for me. Like centering myself, taking a moment to just have some peace and quiet, which is usually like in my room, on my bed, closing my eyes, and like really deep, slow breaths, and just reminding myself that like in this moment, I am safe. I think that that's really important, even though your brain instinctively knows that you're safe, but your body's reacting differently, right? There's a little bit of a disconnect. So I think reminding yourself that like, I'm safe, everything is okay. And honestly, it sounds like, I don't know, maybe a bit like frank, but I like to remind myself that like, this is not going to kill me. Like, it may be uncomfortable, it may be awkward, it may be sad, it may be insert any like less than savory emotion, but this in itself is not going to kill me. Like, I'm going to be alive after this moment. It's going to be okay. Like, I'm going to see the other side of it. And I feel like that kind of calms me down because I just know that this feeling that I'm feeling is not permanent. Like, it's going to go away. I think the 5 minutes, 5 weeks, 5 years rule is a good idea. Like, if this is not going to matter in 5 minutes, or this is not going to matter in 5 weeks, or this is not going to matter in 5 years, like, you don't really need to harp on it. Maybe 5 minutes is a little bit extreme, but like, I like the 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 years basically reference, because a lot of things we are freaking out about, and it's like, a week from now, you're not even like going to be worried about it. Or a month from now, you're not going to be worried about it. Or 5 years from now, this is not going to matter. So I feel like that really helps. I know that when you're dealing like serious anxiety and a real attack, grounding your body is really important. So grounding, the easiest way to ground is to walk outside. So touch the earth, grass. If you are fortunate enough to have a backyard or you're near any type of plot of grass, step outside with no shoes. So just ground your feet on the earth. It really helps to calm your body down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, grounding, like name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell. Like, do that. And you take the thought outside of yourself and you focus on your immediate surroundings. The dunking your face in cold water, splashing cold water, I think it helps to reset I forget the nerve, but it helps to kind of like reset your body. So it literally signals to your body that you're not in crisis. So anything cold, like an ice cube, hold it in your hand, splashing water on your face, it just helps to reset the body and remind you that you're not in crisis. Movement. I think movement is the best way to shake that out of your body. I don't believe in the gym healing mental health conditions. I think sometimes people take that too far, but I do think that working out and body movement can help your mood. And I think that that can really relieve anxiety as well. So anxiety wants to trap you, right? Like walking, pacing, or even just doing like a repetitive task like folding, sweeping, or organizing can tell your body like you're not stuck. Movement helps to increase adrenaline, it keeps the blood flowing, and it keeps your brain breathing. Essentially, that's the best way to put it. Now, although this says like sweeping or cleaning, I err on the side of caution with that because you don't want to make that its own trigger. That's why I think movement is probably best, like just going out for a walk, going out for a light jog, breathing fresh air, getting out of your space, and getting out of your head, essentially. And it also says you can name it out loud. Say, I'm feeling anxious, but I'm not in danger. And that small distinction can help the logical brain like re-engage. I also would tack onto this and say, do it in front of a mirror. Mirror work can feel very awkward and uncomfortable at first, but mirror work can be very powerful. So I would say to myself in the mirror, I'm feeling anxious, but I'm not in danger. You're safe and I love you. And say that over and over and over again while taking deep breaths, I think can really, really help. Ultimately, just remember that anxiety is just a feeling and it doesn't control you. Like you are always in control, even in the moments where you feel like you're not. I hope this helps, and I'm sending you lots and lots and lots of love. Okay, question 3. How do you stay motivated when your job is just okay, but not really fulfilling? I work in beauty marketing. It's a decent salary. I have a nice team. It's sometimes fun. Like on paper, I feel like it is a dream job, but lately I just feel very flat. It's not that I'm unhappy, but I'm just no longer inspired. I'm not learning anything new. There's no promotions available for me. I'm not excited about the projects, and I just don't know if I'm in a slump or this means something more. I don't want to self-sabotage or make a dramatic change, but I'm also really bored. But also, is work supposed to feel alive some of the time, all of the time? How do I navigate this? Please help. I love the show. So thank you. Thank you for being a loyal listener. I have a lot of thoughts about this. And first of all, kudos to you to even having a job that is somewhat decent in this crazy market. I know that that is a struggle for a lot of people. So kudos to you on that. But firstly, I'll say that like you're not ungrateful, like just because like quote unquote you have a cool job and people believe it's cool and you are feeling really flat does not mean that you're ungrateful. Like I just really want to start there. I think that women, especially like ambitious or really high functioning women, are often made to feel like we should just be thankful, just be grateful, like when everything is like not blowing up to bits. And that's just like not the case. It's okay if it's not fulfilling, but that just because it's not fulfilling doesn't mean that you're ungrateful. And just because it's unfulfilling or it's fine doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be there forever either. Leaving a quote unquote good job doesn't make you ungrateful. I think what you're experiencing is just a bit of like limbo. You're in an in-between space, and I won't lie to you, this might be the first, but it definitely won't be the last, where things look good, but maybe they just don't feel good. And it could be because you've outgrown it. And it's not really a crisis, but it is an indication to look inward, as I always say. So here's a few ways that I think you can like approach this with care and with consideration. Is it a creative slump? Figure out, do a work back. Like what interests you in the beginning? What was exciting? What lit you up other than your paycheck? Like was it that maybe the way your job was structured back then was a lot easier or was more interesting? Like figure out where this shift happened and what about your specific job used to light you up. Get as minutia as you possibly can. Like maybe it was like, what used to make me really happy was that we used to have these Monday morning meetings where we would literally like discuss headlines, and now that director left, so we don't do it anymore. It could be the smallest things, it could be the biggest things, but you just want to figure out why, like where the slump has begun to change and where that shift has come from. Is it growth? Have you genuinely feel like you just don't learn anymore? Like you know your job in and out and there's no real way to change jobs or to expand? Sometimes promotions are not on the table. So is it just, do you just feel like you're not learning anymore? Or is it alignment? Does it feel like the work you're doing just doesn't really reflect what you care about now, where you're trying to go, and what you want to be doing with your time? You have to get clear on the why. The why will always set you free. So why are you bored? And that will help you figure out what needs to change. Not necessarily that just something should, it'll make things very clear for you. So next, I would say let's kind of dip our toe into something else. That can mean different things, but here are a few things to kind of like get your mind going. You could stay in your role, but give yourself the permission to start exploring something that is work related, but not necessarily tied to your actual job spec, if that makes sense. So this could be on the side, like now you're freelancing. So maybe you start to do projects that stretch you or interest you, anything like that. It could be in the same industry, it could be a different industry. Maybe you're like, I like what I do, I just don't want to do it for lipstick anymore. I want to do it for a music artist, or vice versa. So I would start expanding your network and seeing if there's any freelancing gigs, even if it's just a bit of grafting, just to get you in a different environment and expand your mind and your creativity. I really believe that creativity is a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. So it's time that we start flexing those creativity muscles. Again, social media, you could start a Substack, you could offer your own service, your own like maybe mini branding service, start consulting for new beauty brands or indie beauty brands, start your own podcast. Like you just want to figure out where you can start adding little droplets with the knowledge that you already have and or the knowledge that you like and want to dive deeper with. What you can also do is obviously like collaborating with a small founder and getting in touch with other indie brands or founders and just getting your hands dirty again in the same industry and or a different one. Sometimes the problem isn't your job, it's just the lack of tension and growth and possibility around it. Also, what you can do in a low stakes option within your actual job is if you have HR or you have a line manager or director, someone that you can go to, just say, hey, like, is there any way that I can 10x my current role? It's very important that you go to your superior with solutions, not problems. You can't go to them and say, I'm bored. Like, they don't care. They're going to probably pick holes in your current role and they might not have anything for you. So what I would say is, hey, like, I want to do more. Phrase it like that. Like, I want to do more. What is available for me to do? Is there things I can help you with? Is there things I can help someone else with? And maybe go with 2 or 3 ideas like, hey, Jenny works in mascara beauty. Like maybe this is a colleague that does the same thing as you, but in a different area or different department. Is it possible that I could start helping out their team because I know that Lisa is on mat leave and they still haven't filled the role? Like, that's how you can start to add value to your current role, to your position, make yourself look better, and then also expand your mind, expand your thoughts. Before you do that, though, make sure you have done the first part, which is the why, because you don't really want to play around with people's time and energy. So make sure that you're going into these meetings and you're making these propositions and you've really thought about it. And then finally, what you can also do and what you should do either way is keep a folder of everything that you've done. So projects that you've done, projects that you've loved, praise and recommendations that you've received, even if it's like text messages, Slack, emails, keep all that stuff. Ideas you've had, but maybe you've never pitched, questions you want to be asked in an interview tomorrow. Like just, it keeps track of everything you've done and the things that light you up without quitting impulsively. You want to make sure that if you do get to the end and you're like, I want to quit my job, you've given it enough time and you've thought about it so you have no regrets. You don't want to do things impulsively. You want to make decisions from a place of wisdom and discernment. It also becomes your North Star for your next move. Having everything documented lays everything out. What have you been doing for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? What do people like about you? What are your strengths? And also, what are your weaknesses? You don't want to wait until you're miserable to make a change. You know, although we don't want to do things impulsively, you do want to act on what you're feeling, right? You don't have to hit burnout just to justify a pivot. You know, I am queen of the pivot. I want you guys all to have the courage to evolve at any point in time. And you don't have to be 30, 35, 40, 45, 65 to do that. You can do that at any moment. Sometimes the most powerful career shifts happen from a place of peace and calm where you're still doing well, but you're aware that the next chapter awaits you. And yes, you will feel tension, you will feel stretched, you will feel nervous, maybe even a little bit of imposter syndrome, but you can do this. Like, I know lots of people that have propelled themselves into owning their own business, a new role that they could only dream of, and they never waited until it was 100% right. They just knew they needed a shift and they went for it. You can honor this job, and you should honor this job without pretending that it's your forever. And I also implore you to make sure that even though you're in this weird phase, do not slack and do not just take your foot off the brakes. It doesn't bode well for you. It's an energy that perpetuates itself. Give everything you have until the very last minute. That is one thing I would go back and tell my younger self, is that once you've checked out mentally, maybe you know you're leaving or you're going to quit or whatever, don't take your foot off the gas. Continue showing up and continue giving your all. You don't have to overextend yourself, but don't tarnish or dilute your brand name. Boredom does not mean you're on the wrong path, and it doesn't mean that you've done the wrong thing. And most importantly, it does not mean that you're ungrateful. It means your capacity has just outgrown the container that you're in, and that is more than okay. Nothing is forever. And I think sometimes we listen to our parents where it was like, well, I did this job for 30 years and da-da, and it's like that was okay for them and that's their path. And it was also a very different time. But if after 2 years or a year and a half or 3 years or a major project has closed and you're like, I think I'm done here, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And now you get to capitalize on your success, capitalize on your knowledge, capitalize on all the wisdom you've acquired, and build something bigger. Okay, so I hope you guys liked this segment, Ask a Sage. Ask me anything. You guys can always send me questions. I talked about that earlier on Instagram, on the anonymous link as well. That's always in the show notes for every episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. I'm still fiddling with the RSS feed so we can get it up there so you guys can proudly listen to the Sage Sorority on your YouTube, because I know a lot of you like to use YouTube as basically your TV at this point. I hope you guys have a beautiful Thursday. If you are a London-based listener, make sure you kind of just like stick up your hand, give me a nudge, send me a little emoji on either the Sage Sorority Instagram or on my personal Instagram, because I'm thinking of having an in-person event at the end of August or early September, something cute, something cozy IRL for my Sage Sorority babes, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I would just love to know like who's listening from London. So if you guys like this episode, you know how to show me love. Leave a review and tag us on Instagram. I hope you guys have an amazing Thursday and the rest of your week. I will talk to you next week. Bye.